Hey everyone, so as promised, I am here with my Alex drawing from Totally Spies, and we're going to color her. And I will show you how I go about coloring things when I have a reference, considering this is a redraw kind of challenge. So yeah, I got my handy dandy reference in the corner. I have my sketch and line work here. And the first step here is to create a new layer and drag it underneath all the layers. And this is how I begin. So you go here. Once again, I am using the Lilith brushes. I don't know if you can see that. Probably drag it down. Lilith brushes. Amazing brush set. Once again, I said in my previous video, the artist name is @Lilith. Free brush set, amazing brush set. I suggest if you're going to get this brush set to drop her a donation, whatever you can afford, just because it deserves a little something something because it's that amazing. Anyways, I end up going down to the base color. For base color is actually like the best, I find, flat color brush. It is really saturated. It covers everything. It has good fill. Like it's just really good. Really good little brush. So now we start here grabbing the colors. So first we're going to grab the skin color, which is this orangey skin color, and then I literally just go in. I'm sure there's an easier way to honestly color these things, but I'm old school and I like to color things like it's a coloring book. I end up just going through an outline. I'll make this brush a little bigger. I end up just going through like this and just following around the shapes, and then I just drag the corner, boom, fill it, and fill in any gaps like that. This is what I do. I'm sure there's an easier way of seeing things where people have used the reference option and just colored it, just dropped color like that. I'm sure that is easier, but it's going to throw off my process. And, everyone has their own processes on how they do things like this. But yeah, just go around. And this is all just on the first layer that you made for the colors. And there's going to be multiple color layers. This is not going to be just one because that'd be madness. It'd be madness to color this all on one layer. And so we just go around, keep doing all of this, and bam, there's her skin. Ta-da! And now when I'm looking at my drawing, I'll see if there's any other sections that aren't touching what I just filled in. Like say if her skirt wasn't touching an arm, I might fill that one in on one layer as well. I just want to keep them all separate and make sure they're not touching because then it's just easier to shade later. And since that's not the case in this situation, we're going to go ahead and add a new layer and put this one on top. So this one's always going to be at the bottom. You can really do this at any order you want to, like if you wanted to do the clothing first or the hair first or whatever. This is just what I do usually. So next I usually do the hair. So I'll go in, and since her hair's black, I'm not going to make her hair black. I'm going to choose like a dark brownish color. So I usually go into the red tones and just pick something closer to the gray and black side of things, just so things aren't jet black. I typically don't like using jet black when it comes to using black, just because you can't really do anything with it. Like you can't really shade or you can't add shadows to something that's already the darkest it can be. So I usually go for something a little lighter. And then once again, I'll just go over all the spots, and now you're gonna have like overhang, as I know I do. I always have overhang. I have to go back and erase everything and come back in there. And sometimes I'm a lot more messier with it. Sometimes I'll just draw like a big circle and then spend a bunch of time kind of, filling it in, and that's kind of a waste of time, but sometimes I like doing it, and it's kind of therapeutic sometimes just to get in there and erase all your mess that you made, Now you see my lines are kind of a purpley red color, and they're kind of lighter than the hair shade. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drop the brightness of my lines and darken them up a bit, just so that they are seen through the hair. And how I do that is I go back to the line layer, go to, where do I go? No, that's not right. Go to the wand. Go to the wand at the top. There's the wand up there. Then I hit hue, saturation, and brightness, go down to brightness at the bottom, and just drag it down a notch or two. So this one I dropped to about 38. As you can see, you can kind of see 41%. You can start seeing the lines in the hair. So that's kind of what I do. Then you make sure you go back to the hair and go back to your brush. And then if you need to zoom in to get closer, as you can see, it's kind of messy. I need to go in here and fix it. And then I just go in here and do the eyebrows the same color as the hair usually. Sometimes most of the time I make the eyebrows darker than the actual hair shade, like if it's blonde or red or whatever. It just makes it easier. And then yeah, I just go in and like clean up my spaces. If you want to make it more precise than I do, like you don't have to make it messy. I just do because I'm lazy sometimes. So as I said, there's ways to make this more efficient, but this is basically how I go about it. So you just adjust the size. Wow, that's hard to say. Just adjust the size of your eraser and just go in there as you see fit and just kind of erase the spots that don't make sense. Erase the spots that are outside the lines. I never said I was good at coloring within the lines, clearly. And then I just kind of go back over it. See, I erased too much now. So I'm gonna go back in here. Oh, that did not, there we go. And over here, and then just along the side of the face, being a little bit more precise than I was before, which I should have done out the gate. But yeah, so there's her hair. She's looking cute. I'm enjoying this. And then usually for the whites of the eyes, I use like a gray tone. It's usually a grayish, warmish tone. Never use white for the whites of the eyes. It just doesn't look natural because like even your eyes aren't like pure white. Like there's shadows and it's more gray, or you know, it just doesn't look right otherwise. So that's kind of what I do there. As you can see, I missed a little bit of skin. So I go back to the skin layer, and right up in here, I just kind of fill it in. And since your hair layer is on top of the skin, wherever you draw with the skin color, it's not going to affect the hair. Just gonna kind of fill it in, which is nice. Anyways, back to this layer. I don't think we can really see the color of her lips in this, so we're gonna give her a lip color. We're gonna give her a nice reddish tone. I don't wanna go like pure red, more of like a natural red, and I always do the top lip a darker shade than the bottom lip. I just feel like it looks better that way. As I said, you can kind of do what you want, but this is my process. So there we go, she's looking cute. Now since she has short hair, her hair does not touch her sweater, so we can fill in her sweater on this layer as well. So here we go, I'm gonna color grab that yellow. And then it's like a yellowish green. It's like a citron color. And then we go in, we just do the same kind of process all the way down, just filling it in. And I said you can zoom in, zoom out, whatever's easiest for you. This is the first time I've really done like a coloring, like how I color video. I never really know what to talk about in the interim here while I'm like working on this. So if I start rambling, forgive me. But, oh wait, I forgot her neck. My bad, I forgot this piece. Make sure that you connect the lines. Because if you do not connect your lines, it will not work out. It'll go all over the place. So there we go, she's coming together, she's coming together. And now since her skirt is not touching her sweater, we can grab her skirt color. This will grab, there we go, skirt color. All right, and we can go in here and fill in the skirt. Bam, just like that. She's gorgeous. And now, looking at this drawing, I think we can fill in this middle part as well. So we're gonna grab this color in the center, which is like a paler yellow. Zoom in how you see fit, and we're just gonna fill in this middle section. I know it kind of touches the sleeves, but since it's such a small section, I think we can work around it. It's not gonna cause too much of an issue. I apologize if you see pieces of my cat, like you can see his paw here. He likes to be involved. So, yeah. My cat's name is Kitaro, and he likes to be involved in literally everything that I do. So I apologize if you see cat tails or cat body or a head. Right now he's stretching on my desk. And yeah, I think that's all we can really fill in here as far as this goes. And so we're gonna open up another new layer on the top here, just like that. And now we're gonna fill in the rest of the details. So we're gonna have this nice little red bubble here, the top corner. Oh my goodness, that slipped. There we go. And then we have this dark red color here, which we can fill these stripes with. Try to be a little bit more precise. If you need to zoom in and twist it, you can do whatever you do. And fill in the bottom one. As you can see, I overlapped a little bit. I gotta, usually after I'm done my flat color, I'll zoom in and I'll clean it up. So right now I just want to get my colors down and hope for the best here. So, and same thing with this belt. Like I know the belt touches some of these pieces that are already colored, but since they're just small little pieces, as long as you're careful when you do your shading, it shouldn't be an issue. So let's see here. Is there any red overlap? Oh, well, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. A little bit lighter. And make sure that your eraser isn't huge, because otherwise you're going to have bigger problems. Okay, and I can see here that this yellow didn't fill in the way that I wanted it to, so I'm going to go back and just kind of fill in the spots, just like the skin over here. See, when you zoom in, you can really see where you miss some things. But that's good, that's what that's here for. Just make sure that you're going back to your original layer and you're not like putting it accidentally on your, you know, skin layer or anything like that, because it's going to cause problems later down the road for you. I think that, no, I'm missing a big chunk of yellow on her sweater here. I don't know how I missed that right there. A little bit around the edges. And just zoom in, especially where the skin is, because sometimes you get so, you want to be so careful around the skin and then you end up missing chunks of everything. And that's usually where you start overlapping. Oh, since my eraser's too big, I gotta drop the size. Just carefully go around the skin. Kitaro, what are you doing? So sorry about that. As I said, cats like to be involved in literally everything. Yeah, so I'm just bouncing back and forth between my layers just to make sure everything's okay. I like my color, there we go. Just make sure everything's kind of filled in where it needs to be and I'm not missing any spaces. Okay, so I think she's cute. She's working out here. So we're gonna go back to this top color layer here. We're gonna fill in the belt now. So grab that color of the belt. We're gonna zoom on in. I need to lower this a bit. You get in here, and we're just gonna go around. As I said before, just make sure that your lines are all connecting before you color fill it. Otherwise, it's just gonna drop the color on the entire screen, and then it's not gonna do what you wanna do. And then just make sure you go around like so, boop. And then over here, and there we go. She's gorgeous. Now I imagine Alex's eyes are brown. She looks like she'd have brown eyes. So we're gonna go, and as I said, I don't ever typically grab pure brown like way over here. I usually grab like a reddish kind of color. I don't know why I do, I just like how it looks better. I usually add brown accents in the eyes, and then you just kind of like fill out where your sketch little bubbles are, like that. I don't know if she looks a little crazy-eyed or not. I don't think so, I think she looks okay. So just about colored, all we gotta do now is just color in the belt buckle. I realize I forgot a couple details here, which I'm going to fix on my line art layer. Just a couple holes on this belt here. Right, and then yeah, let's see, we're gonna go here, and then one more layer. I'm gonna grab like a cool gray color for said belt. We're gonna just go in here and we just gonna fill this in. And if you guys choose to, like, I'll drop this reference photo that I used for Alex here down in the comments, so if you want to grab it and kind of follow along with this with me. I guess this isn't really like an official tutorial. This is me just kind of talking as I go through my process of coloring, just kind of trying to show you guys what I do. you'll find your own way. You'll find what works out best for you, but it's best to kind of tinker around with what other artists are doing. So yeah, here's flat colored Alex. I don't like how like dark my sketch is underneath my liner, so I'm going to drop the opacity of that to about 18%. You can see it's a bit of a difference. If I still don't like it at that point, if lines are still too dark, like I'm not quite sure about this stuff on the arm. Okay, no, this one. I'll go in there and I'll just kind of sloppily erase it, just because I don't really need those sketch reference lines anymore. Just around her chest and her arms here, I'll just go in and clean it up a bit so it looks a little nicer. Sometimes when there's too many lines, especially like around her face, like here, I try to avoid erasing the lip lines, like around her lips, so I feel like they provide definition without actually like drawing lines around the lips, you know? If they're super messy though, then, and you don't like how they look, you can go ahead and erase them if you want, but sometimes I think that the faded sketch lines kind of add a little bit more dimension sometimes. Sometimes they do me a favor and sometimes they don't. Like in the hair especially, I find it's helpful because it adds a little bit more like strand detail that may not have been there before, but other times not so much. Okay, see, now she looks a little cleaner, looks a little better. I have a little, what is this in the corner? Okay, erase it. But here we go, side by side, Alex and Alex. So now we go back to our skin layer that we got here. What I do is I end up alpha locking it. So when you alpha lock a layer, nothing can happen outside of this layer. Like nothing can happen outside. So everything just kind of traps it in wherever you've drawn color, which makes it a lot easier. Now I usually at this point, I switch up my brush pack. I go into the Gouache Max pack, which is my second favorite brush pack. I find it works the best for me. I usually go into the Max U Gouache Smooth. I believe these Max pack brush sets are anywhere between like $10 and $20, depending on which ones. I don't know if you added any new ones or not, but they're a little bit more pricier, but they're worth it. I find that they're worth it anyways. So I use the Gouache Smooth for the skin, just because I find it adds a little bit of texture. Now we zoom in on this face. Okay, grab the color of her, and then we just pick a color that's for the shadows. So I do my shadows first. What I usually do is I'll move it a little bit warmer in a direction. So say if her skin's like a little bit more yellow toned, sorry if you hear horrible truck noises outside, loudest things ever. Usually when I pick a skin color, I usually shift it to the warmer side, having a little bit warmer. And never ever when you're choosing a shadow color, pick in this range. You don't want to drop this, otherwise it becomes muddy and it doesn't look very good. You want to move to more saturated colors, like on this side. So this is where we're at right now, and I'm going to pick something a little bit more warm and darker on this side like that. Or if you want to be, you know, like if you want to stick to the original, you can just grab the color that's on there. If you're doing a redraw, like this is the original color of her shadow, is this. And you know, you just kind of want to think about where shadows would be on your body depending on where your light source is. Clearly looking at the reference, clearly on the reference, the light source is coming from this way. So the shadows will all be in this back half of the body. See how you have her here with the shadows all up her arm on this one side and it's lighter on the other side. So yeah, just kind of pay attention to that when you're looking at your references. Eventually, like the more you'll do it, you won't need references to kind of show you where the shadows lie. Like you'll just kind of figure it out and naturally know. But if you're just starting, like I would suggest looking at references with different like light sources and the directions that they are, and even just practice some light studies about what like the shadows would look like if the light was coming from like above or below or from like straight on or, you know, left, right, whatever, right? So yeah, and there's always a little shadow underneath the nose. So I always draw a little shadow, right? And there's usually a little shadow on the edge of her mouth and usually on the increase of her nose here. Like obviously there's going to be some shadows that I'm adding that aren't in the actual drawing just because I feel like they should be added. because it's just my natural way of things. So just like a little bit there, you know, and maybe a little bit under here because her bangs are coming down, might cause a shadow. So that's kind of, this is basically like what I call it, is just cell blocking it out. You're just doing some cell shading and just kind of blocking it out. So now moving down to her stomach here. Might do a little bit for her belly button. If she has a line here, I drew this line. This line doesn't actually exist in the actual drawing, but I added it like this. This arm would be blocked out completely on this side, right? And then this arm would have a shadow coming down like that. Just like that, right? So this is what we got so far. It looks pretty good, looks pretty good. Now what I like to do is I like going up into here to my blending. I usually pick the soft airbrush. This airbrushing brush is the one that naturally comes with Procreate. It's nothing fancy, you don't have to purchase it, it's already here. I click on it, spacing 19. Usually my opacity, if you see my opacity here on the side, is dropped. It's not full strength, it's dropped about, I don't know, 65% of the way, just so it helps not be so crazy when you're trying to blend. And then I just make sure the brush isn't too big, and then I just kind of go in and soften these edges. Just kind of soften these edges, just get in here, soften them right up. Just makes it look more, I guess, natural that way, because, you know, shadows usually aren't typically harsh unless there's like a direct source of strong light, like directly on you. And even then, it's not like the whole body's that way. And then, yeah, just kind of go through. See, just kind of go through, just gently soften. If you need to make your brush bigger because it's like not reaching, like mine's starting just to smear around, I need to make it a little bigger, but yeah, just go in and just soften her up, you know, like that. See, that looks good. Now I usually add another layer of shadow, like a darker shadow. So we're gonna go in, grab this color that we had here. I'm gonna drag it all the way to the red side. All the way to the red side, we're gonna move it this way and down, grab a little bit of a darker color. And now we're gonna go and we're just gonna grab and drag. And just kind of grab and drag. I'm not sure if I like this color, to be honest with you, but we'll see in a second how I feel about it once I start blending it out. I might have to change my mind. Just like where the darkest parts of the shadows would be. Right, it's a little bit under the nose. Oh my gosh, there's a cat tail, Kate. Kitaro, no. So just kind of filling out where the darkest parts would be. So this part would be kind of like really not a whole lot. It wouldn't be everywhere. And then I once again take the brush and you just kind of want to blend it out. Just being really careful of your edges. I apologize for the cattail in the drawing. That was not supposed to happen. Like this. Hey, I'm not sure about this color I chose, but maybe it'll work. It might work. My cat just really wants to play right now. Just really just up in my business. Aren't you, cat? Aren't you, cat? Okay, so now that that's all blended together, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Usually, since this is a redraw, I'm not going to do it, but usually with my drawings, I usually take like I drag it all the way over here to the side where the pinks are. I usually pick like a cheek color and I'll do a nice little fill, but that's not what I'm going to do this time. But what I am going to do is we're going to pick a highlighter color. So we're going to grab the skin color, then the original base color, and then I'm going to drag it up and out this way a little more. Since Alex has a darker skin color, I'm not going to throw it all the way up to white because that's just going to look weird. So I'm going to keep it this like pretty peach color and go back to my gouache smooth. And then I'm just going to outline where the sun would be hitting. Since the sun's coming from this way, you got to just place it where the light would be hitting, right? So it'd be all in this corner, and the highlights really do add like another layer of dimension that kind of just brings it all together. So just kind of stuff like this, nothing fancy. I might do more than this in like a normal circumstance, but since this is a redraw, I'm not going to do it. Just, you know, just little things like this. And then I will go in with my blending brush. I'll drop the size, make it really small. You don't want it too big because then you'll lose the highlight entirely. It'll end up just smearing right into your base color, and then you'll lose it, and then it won't be there anymore, and then, yeah, then it'll be like all for nothing. This is a very subtle, like small highlight, but I think it's enough to kind of, you know, put it across. So yeah, here's what I got so far of her skin. See, it makes a significant difference from the flat color, I think. Looks good, looks good. And now we move on to the next layer, which is this hefty layer right here. Do the same thing, alpha lock it up, zoom in. I change my brushes now. Okay, I swear cats are like toddlers. You have to take things away from them constantly. Okay, so back into the gouache max pack. Scroll all the way down to this one right here. This gouache detail sharp brush. This is the one I typically use to do my color cell shading. Look at your handy dandy reference, grab that shadow color, and then we kind of just follow the same kind of lines as the reference. This is what the reference is for, to kind of show you where to drop the shadows. As I said, this will become more natural to you and you won't need the reference for this later down the road, but if you're just starting out, it's always nice to kind of know what the heck you're doing. So yeah, we're just kind of following the same kind of thing. Oh, clearly I went over the line here, so we're just gonna clean that up a bit. Right, and then like following her boob line here, curling it around, and just be careful of the center line that you filled out before, because it is on the same layer, otherwise like it will leak into it because they're all in the same layer. Yeah, you just kind of go over it like that, and it makes a huge difference, like a huge dimension difference, right? When you can, like, this line doesn't exist in the actual thing, but like I feel like it should be here because this would be a shadow, just like there would be a shadow like in here, but that's just like me being kind of, you know, me, I guess. And then just follow the lines. If you've created your own like clothing wrinkle lines, you can just follow the lines of that with the shadows. Well, see, I went over, and that's what happens. And I guess I should actually show you what I'm doing down here, hey? This camera does not want to cooperate. See, I went over my line, and I ended up getting into the other yellow that I drew. Pay too much attention to my drawing and not enough to my camera, and this is what happens. So, okay, where's my thing? There it is. Sometimes Procreate is stubborn and doesn't want to like load things when you want it to. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit in spaces. I'm going to go in and I'm going to soften these lines up a bit, so it'll be okay. Oh, my cat is a menace right now. This is not the time. This is not the time or place. But now I go in with my brush. Since it's small from before, I make it a little bigger. See, it just softens it right up. And I don't soften it entirely. I keep it with still a little bit of an edge, but I just feel like it like sits a lot better and looks a lot nicer when it's like a little bit blended out. My personal opinion anyways. Just especially on fabric. Like I just feel like fabric wouldn't have like harsh shadows like that all the way through it because, you know, it's a soft material. But just something like that. I might do a second shadow, like this color I might grab, I might pull something a little darker, I guess you should, like that, just pull it a little darker. Go back to my gouache detail brush and I might just go in the spots where I think the shadow would be the darkest, which would be like over here, maybe around the edge on that side, down in this, because it's tucked right against her body. So this would be a darker area. And sometimes these darker area spots like this, I might leave as like a harsh shadow just because they're supposed to be. Like under her armpit over here. Maybe in like this wrinkle in this corner. You know, it's kind of like that, right? And then I'll go in and I will grab, this will open up for me for the love of God. There we go. I will grab a highlighter color. So I will grab it and hike it up to the very top like that. And then I'll just go along the edges where the sunlight may be hitting, just to kind of frame it out. And I know this isn't something that exists on the reference photo, but I just do it because I think it just looks better that way. You know, and then I might add a little bit underneath here. And maybe just a little bit on this side, like that. And you can if you want, you can go in here and you can blend out the highlight, but just really make sure that you don't blend it out too much, otherwise you'll lose it in that base color. Like just softly blend it out. Now we're gonna go into this color. You can see there's a tiny little highlight there, or shadow there, I should say, to do these in. So we're gonna drop that. Just kind of follow where your shadow is. See, the shadow comes out here. So you kind of want the shadows to line up and go in the same spots. Right, so like over here, it'd be like here would be all shadow. Just like that, maybe a little bit on this side too. And then if you wanted to make like a darker color, you could just pull it down just a little bit and then go back in. So I went over my line, so I gotta go back. And just kind of like that, right? I think she's looking cute. Now I may just blend this out just a tad, just a little bit, so I don't want it mixing with the sleeves. She's coming together, guys. She's coming together. Now we're gonna go to the skirt. And once again, you'll see that shadow color. We're gonna go ahead and grab it like so. I'm gonna go back to the reference and we're gonna drop this down like so. And now looking at her angle, I might add a little here. I might add a little here because her arm, I made her arm come in front of her instead of away from her. Just a more natural pose, I feel, than how she's standing in the reference. I don't know what she's doing in the episode, if she's hiding something behind her back or what, but like this just makes more sense to me. Yeah, just like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're going to grab the skirt color again. We're gonna go add a highlight. So we're gonna bring it up to about there. And then I'm just gonna go and just drop a little bit of a highlight or two in here, just because I can. And since these are like folds in her skirt, I'm gonna make it darker. So we're gonna go back to this color. Sorry for me dragging my iPad up and down. It's just difficult to get this where I want it to be here. To show you the whole length of this drawing while trying to do this coloring thing. So sorry, I'll have to figure out a better way to do this next time, but yeah, so like that. She's coming together. And now since we have the hair and the eyes and everything on this one layer, I should say, we're gonna zoom right in on her face. What I do for the hair is I'll select the hair color and I'll pick something slightly darker, just slightly. And then I'm gonna follow the edge of the hair. You wanna pay attention to where your strands are, where you want them to go. Just kind of follow. The bigger chunks are like in there. Since the shadow, the sun's at her face here, we're gonna make this part more dark because the sunlight's coming from this way. So we gotta remember that. Always remember where your light source is. That's important for your picture to look proper. Because if you have just shadows everywhere, then it doesn't make sense and then it doesn't look as good as you want it to. Right, and so we're just gonna add a little bit here, and then remember, like the underside of her hair is always gonna be darker, right? So like in here, it's gonna be dark right against her face. And then this is gonna be the brightest part, so we're just gonna do minimal like lines in here. Right, might just need to darken up this area a bit. This is kind of what it looks like with the cell shading. I'm going to go into my airbrush and we're going to blend it out. And blend it out. It's going to be natural for this to blend into the base color a little bit. You kind of want it to do that. And you don't have to be super precise with this part. Like I just kind of messily kind of just blend it out a bit. Just don't push too hard on your screen because then you'll really just lose all your shadows. You want to be just like super light with it. Easy breezy. And then for the eyebrows, I might take that darker shade and do like half the brows, kind of dark like that. Now, I'm going to do a darker shade still. We're going to drop it just a little bit, just a little itty bitty it. Just to add another dimension of the layers, we're going to color the back part here, black, wrap it around. And then we're going to just kind of go over the same spots, except not as, like don't fill in as much as you did with the previous shadow color, just because you want that other shadow color to kind of still come through. This is like where the darkest spots would be. So wherever there's like hair folds or anything like that, that'd be kind of where these colors would be. So it's like that. Back to the blending brush, we're gonna go over, blend, 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 blend it out. Blend, 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 blend it out. And that's kind of what we got. Looking all right, looking all right. All right, and once again, I'll go on the eyebrows with the darkest shade and just kind of get the outer corners, maybe the inner corners. And now for the highlights of the hair. Take the original color. And we are going to grab, so this is the original hair color, so we're just gonna grab a little bit higher. So right there. You don't wanna use white. I know the reference uses white or gray or whatever color that is, but we're not gonna do that. So our hair is like a dark brown in this. It's not really pure black. And even then, like pure black hair never really has like a gray shine to it. It's not how that works. So anyways, you think about what the brightest part is. Just kind of go in like that. So all this in here would be where the sun is hitting, right? So we wanna be like this. And then I just kind of do some zigzag lines across, and you want to make sure that they're all kind of consistently like where the shine would hit across the board here. You know, there might be some over here with a little bit of zigzagging into here, zigzagging. There might be even a little bit on this side, just kind of, and you can make it really as big or as little as you want. I tend not to go too crazy with my highlights, because you just want it to be like a little splash of something extra, you know? You don't want it to be like the whole head. And just kind of where you think the light would touch, right? So like up in here, there'd be light touching that. Down in here in this little wispy part, and even be a little bit of zigzags in there along the edges of the hair, where her face is facing over here, right? Just small little, oh, and I ended up starting to erase it. Because that's what happens when you tap the edge of your pen too much. It turns into the eraser, and then you accidentally erase half your stuff. Okay, so that's kind of what I do, and I go into my handy dandy little blender, and I kind of just gently blend the ends of it. I might go in there and just gently blend out. I don't tend to hit the zigzaggy parts that hard on the blend, just because I want them to still be pretty. I don't want them to be smeared, you know? So just like kind of something like that. And if you want to add if you wanted to add like a lighter highlight, you could do that too, especially since this is like for sun hits. I know some people like to like drag all the way up so it's like really bright, and you can really just get like that sun quality in. And I guess we can do that here. I never use gray as a highlight though for hair, because that's just, unless the hair is like silver naturally, but her hair is not silver. Like even people with black hair, they don't have like silver highlights. They don't have silver shine to their hair. It's usually like a brownish color. You know, even blue, like people with blue black hair that has the blue shine to it, that would make more sense. But yeah, kind of just like that. It's kind of wherever there would be some harsher highlights, I guess, just like the dark shadows. You just kind of want to do that. If you want to blend it out, you can. If you don't want it as harsh, but you still want the quality. I usually just hit the ends though, just because I find like the ends, when you do this, they just end so bluntly and they just don't look right. So it's nicer to smear them up into the hair a little bit. And then for like the eyebrows, like I'll go back to that original highlight color and I'll just like kind of hit the corners. So it's just a little something something. Now for the whites of the eyes. So as I said, the whites of the eyes are never white. They are like a grayish color. I usually drop it halfway down the gray column here to do the shadows, and I usually hug it up to close to that eye line. And it's really simple. It's just like a little line that you draw across the top. I don't typically blend these out because I want it to be harsh. I want it to be a harsh line, so I typically don't do that. So I just leave it like that, and she looks good. And then for the lips, I'll go in and I'll grab this top color and I'll use it on the bottom, on the side where the darkness is supposed to be. The darkness. Like that, and then I'll drop it and grab a darker color for the top, and I'll just go to this outer corner where it's supposed to be shadowy, like so. I might blend it a little bit if I feel like the lines are a little too in your face. Then I grab, I guess I should show you what color I grabbed, hey? Up here, this really bright pink. We're gonna use this for like little lip highlights. Say she has some lip gloss on, and we just do like a little tiny zigzag. You can do one on the top too, just like a little line, and bam, she has a mouth, and she has eyes and hair. Yeah, I think she's coming together, guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? She's coming together. Okay, so now that all of that is done on that layer, we're gonna go to this layer right here. Boom, Alpha Lock it, and we're gonna go down to belt. So we're gonna look over here to the color they have for that highlight. We're just gonna highlight shadow. Get my terms right, Chelsea. Jeez. So just drop it, color that in. I'm gonna do a little bit more than she has here though, because like in reality this would also be dark because it's flopped out. Behind here might also be dark. Over here would be dark. Maybe down here would be dark. Just gonna make that a little. I'm gonna grab my brush. We're gonna go in and we're just gonna blend it out just a little bit. So I don't want to do too much on the belt today, just kind of like that. Now I might throw like a highlight color, so just grab that color a little bit higher. Never go all the way to the top, and then we're just gonna get in here with a little bit of highlights around the edges. So that's where that would be, maybe a little bit in there, and that's kind of the gist of the belt, I think. Now these reds, these red lines, we're gonna go in. I think this color that they have here is way too dark, so I'm gonna go grab my red and we're gonna pick a dark red. So it's gonna look like that color. And then we just go in and follow our shadow lines that we had before. And since you have this layer locked, it won't bleed into the other layers, so then it's fine. So we're just gonna go in and we're just gonna follow. Well, I went over on the belt. See, this is what happens when I don't pay attention, right? So yeah, just kind of like that. If you wanted to add like a shiny layer, you can use like a brighter red and just kind of, well, that's not really a bright red, brighter than that, like up there. And then just use like, if you want to make it shiny and metallic, you just do that. Easy peasy. And then, yeah, we're just gonna grab the circle red, which is a dark red. I don't know why the other red's not this like this, but here we are. Just kind of throw it in the corner. Right? She is cute. And then we're gonna go up to her eyes. We're gonna do her eyes now, guys. I'll show you how to do my eyes. Hit that color, take that color in, we're gonna drop it. I usually use a pretty dark color because we wanna have like the top shadow. You want it to line it up with that whites of the eyeshadow, so it's across the board there. Oh, see, I went down a little too far on that one. You just correct yourself by tapping the screen, and I, for some reason, for the life of me, I can't do it. There we go. Maybe my brush is too big. Then I end up just doing like a half circle underneath, just tying it right into the shadow. Just like that, right? Sometimes I might hit it with a darker color just to outline it, just to make it more pupil-like, just at the bottom, just a little half semicircle. I don't ever fill it in as like a complete circle. Then I'll go and I'll grab this base color again. I might use a little color that's a little bit higher up, so it's like up here. And then I just do a little, see, add a little highlight in there. And then I might do one in the middle circle, just a tiny little circle. And then I go grab white because we're gonna do some shine of the eyes. And make sure the shine of the eyes is facing the light source. So like the sun's coming from like here, you don't wanna add the shine over there because that wouldn't make any sense at all. I usually do 2 little dots. And then bam, she has some eyes. Pretty simple. And then last but not least, we're gonna do this belt buckle. And zoom in on this. Belt buckles are always fun. Metals in reality are actually kind of tough to draw. So we're just gonna grab a color like this. We're gonna just drag it down. And this will be our outline kind of color here. So we're just gonna, since this is the darkest part, it's gonna be over here. This underneath is gonna be dark. You gotta make sure you just leave some spaces. Up here will be dark, and over here will be dark. Because remember, the sun is coming from this way. Right, and then underneath here, and maybe on the ends as well. Kind of like that, right? And then this is when I grab white, because the thing with metals is you need really dark colors and really bright colors to kind of contrast it, to give it that metallic look. And then I'll go where the sunlight's gonna hit it. So it's gonna hit here, it's gonna hit a little bit of the top, maybe the little top of these little prongs. It's gonna hit this other side. And yeah, see, it kind of looks a little bit more metallic. It's not like perfect, mind you, but you know, it's, I think it works. Now what we're gonna do is, I see I'm missing, I have a lot of gapping here, I notice. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna fix some stuff. Because sometimes this happens when you do things my way. I shouldn't say that, but it just is what it is. I just kind of go over on the skin layer because it's underneath everything. And I just kind of go and fill in the gaps. At this point, it doesn't really matter if it's on the right layer, just because you've already done all your shading. So I just kind of hit wherever I have some gapping, or I've missed some spots. Oh, and I see here, now that this part's colored, I missed a little bit. Oh, of course. My eraser's too big, everyone, it's too big. Yeah, we just kind of go through, just see, just double check your work, as we were always told in school, right? Just double check, to make sure that everything is filled out the way it needs to be filled out and everything looks good. Right, so we're just gonna go over wherever there is weird gapping. And I think that's better. Still not perfect, but it's better. But yeah, that is pretty much the gist of it. If you wanted to add like more highlights, like I usually do, I usually go back to the skin layer. Like if you wanted to add a little bit more shine here, you can just bring it up so it's like way up at the top like that, and I just add a little bit more in like the inner corners or the eyebrow arch, like where there would be highlighter if you were doing makeup, you know, kind of thing, just to kind of make it a little better. Might add a little bit around the edge of the nose, down the sides of the cheek even. And it just kind of brightens everything up a little bit. Same with on the edge of the neck. Maybe on this edge of the stomach, belly button area. And just like that, we have Alex. Just like that. So hopefully that was helpful. I have a bunch of like sparkle. I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I have right here, the Sparkle Up brush set I usually go to. I forgot what artist. I need to figure out. I'll let you know. I'll let you know what artist did this brush pack. This is also a good one I like to use for my glitters and my highlighting. Like I use this blurry glitter to do some sort of like cheek highlights, add some texture to the skin. It's usually what I add on my drawings when I'm done. Like this one here, I used for clothing if I want sparkly clothing. There's a sparkly eyeshadow. There's like gleams. This is what I used to use my sparkle. All that kind of stuff, stars and gleaming and glowing dots and pixie dust and all the fun stuff, you know, that you can add on a separate ad layer. I think that'll come with another tutorial though. But yeah, so here we go. Here we have Alex. So I hope you followed along. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was helpful. I don't know, between my cat and the loud trucks outside and, you know, my general rambling. I'm not sure if this made any sense, but hopefully it helps someone. But thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to doing the next one for you guys. Thank you. Bye.